to you from Austin. So I'm glad to know that I'm originally, well, I live in Dallas, but we're in Austin this
Oh,
week. So
great.
you're in a great city.
Love that.
So I am going to share my screen. Terry, let's see if this goes well. Hopefully it will. Oh, everybody see my screen?
Yep, you're good.
Oh, great. And we are going to have fun today. You all are going to hopefully learn a lot, but also I want you to ask questions and maybe teach us some things as well as we go through this. This is definitely a collaborative presentation that I've given in the past, but I have updated it for today's webinar. So with that, Terry, I don't know if we've punched record yet, but you're welcome to go ahead and start recording.
We are recording. Take it away.
Okay. Hello, everybody. It's really good to be here as part of Shift & Co., where conscious entrepreneurs do good business in better ways. Terry, I got that straight off your website. So we're going to be searching for our purpose and really through this webinar today and I call it a supersonic speedy world because more than ever, we are moving at the speed of light. And speaking of, I'm going to show you my little video, if you can see it. So you see, she is literally moving at the speed of light on one level. And there we go. In terms of watching the speed of light, it's almost like warp speed that you would see in Star Trek. So what we may think about leadership being, our leadership may be challenged at this point in time in the world that we live in. And as entrepreneurs, we have many opportunities to reinvent. And in some cases, we're forced to reinvent and to keep up with the economy, societal changes, and governance. So, more than ever, I think this presentation is relevant and hope you will feel the same way. Just a quick overview. You can read this on the screen. I'll just call out some highlights. But this is my background. I have an in-depth experience. I have had an in-depth experience in conscious capitalism. I started the Texas chapter of conscious capitalism. That is where I met Terry, and it's been a great friendship, and we've reconnected after the pandemic, which I love. Expertise in just building and promoting purpose-driven brands. We do a lot of internal people development and branding, and we connect to external marketing. And those of you in the PR space, in the marketing space, that's a big part of, it's great to have internal communications and internal branding, but how do we connect it externally so people know about us? Entrepreneurial thought leader. Somebody mentioned that they have a great experience with women's marketing. That is my background as well. I was at one time when I worked with Wyndham Hotels, head of a program called Women on Their Way. I currently am the co-founder and president of the Dallas-Fort Worth Press and Media Club and a past president of Alliance for Women in Media. So you can see it's kind of woven into my background. But as I look at my brand, let's make sure this goes up. Let's hope the visuals pop up, but if we have some issues, we'll just keep moving. So today's objectives are really to stimulate the focus and energy towards our goals, whatever your goals may be. Defining your own core. If you don't want to take notes, that's okay. This is being recorded, but we really want to define what, again, in the supersonic speedy world, how do we stay focused on our own core values and our own culture? That's a challenge. I'll admit it's a challenge for me right now. Today, I hope to spark some creativity and innovative thinking as you work in your own business and grow your business. And then, how do we recognize others in their what their core values are, and how do we connect and collaborate with them? Well, I really hope all my visuals come up because right now I'm seeing that they're not. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second and just make sure the visuals are working. Hello, you can see Terry. Hopefully, you can edit this part out.
We sure can.
Okay, I don't know why I'm having trouble with the visuals. Let's see, let's see. Come on, come on. Okay, so I'm just going to pop out of it for a second and see why it's doing that. Okay. I have had some issues with this lately, and okay, yay. Oh, well, sometimes if the visuals don't pop up, we just go on, right? But I'm gonna see if I can get this to come up for me. I'm just gonna go out for a second. Anybody have any questions before I get started and get my slides up?
I would say we're all entrepreneurs. We've all been in this situation. So take your time. We'll just edit this out.
Yeah,
It's all good. We've all been there.
it is one of these things that uh well, goodness gracious. Okay, let me find out why. All right, you know what? This should work. I'm gonna go to this and not everything. It's for some reason, I think it's okay. I'm gonna just have to share my screen again. So one sec, and then we ought to be okay. Do 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 do. Where are y'all? Here you are. Okay. I'm just trying to find the share the screen button. Where are you? Everybody's still there, right?
Yep, we're still here. So
Okay,
it should be
here
at the
okay,
bottom.
here we go, here we go. I have too many things open. Okay. All right. Can you all see that?
Yeah, but it's real small for some reason.
Yeah, I
So
gotta get it big here. Okay.
there you go. Now
All
it's
right.
working.
So I like the fact, okay, recording again, oppose, it never
Yeah,
stops.
we'll cut that
Okay.
out. Yeah.
So put on your thinking caps. This is my website and the part of the world that I live in, professional development, corporate training, and really making connections. And that's what I hope we can do today is connect with each other as well. These are my brands that fall under the Broussard Global umbrella. If you look at the book on the left, From Cinderella to CEO, it is a book I wrote and it's a gift that keeps on giving. It has been translated into 10 languages and it's just been a great way to really drive my purpose into the world of business through fairy tales, believe it or not, right? We were all raised on fairy tales, and it's a great way to frame lessons in business. And so I've done that for about 15 years, and it's really been a wonderful portal for me in terms of connecting the women's marketing as well as building the Seed to CEO Institute. And if you look at the branding, you'll see that C to CEO is not really connected to fairy tales if you see it for the first time, and that's intentional because my training uh, programs are all fall under the Learning Institute because the Cinderella brand is somewhat limited, and when you think of really marketing to women, of marketing to men as not so much as a not so attractive necessarily, I should say, maybe to men or so compelling. So I try to really limit the brand and from it seeming that it's only about fairy tales. So that's where the C to CEO Institute comes in. And we have the Cinderella CEO Awards. And then I have a podcast called Cinderella CEO on Air. This is, I intentionally took an older picture of my website to show you as I'm growing and have had to pivot, and Terry knows about this because we talked about this in the very beginning of when I started with Shift and Co. That I have always been about DE&I and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I don't have to tell you, we know if that's been a focus, that businesses, government, you name it, we've had to we've had to pivot and not necessarily use those words, the brand words, diversity, equity, inclusion, which over the years, that has not really been, those have not really been the words that I've focused on. It's been almost like words, yes, words matter, but actions speak louder than words, as well as internal branding. And so the internal branding for DE&I have not, with my clients, don't focus on those three words, but the actions around them I do. So that you, if you go to my website now, which you can go through to the website in various ways, businesslearninglabs.com is one of my URLs, cinderellaceo.com. Those are my two main URLs, but I don't have right in your face now diversity, equity, and inclusion. But that's still a big part of what I am passionate about. So, identifying our purpose, defining our core values, and recognizing others' core values, connecting and collaborating. This picture, which this is really what I wanted you to see. So, this is a t shirt that I created that I have on my grandniece at this point. She's eating an apple, kind of a Cinderella type picture, and I just thought it was cute, and I wanted to share it with you. And her T-shirt says, "Be your own fairy godmother." You've seen this? This, and I explained before you came on. I was talking with Terry about how I went to Catholic girls' schools, and when I was in first grade, I put this up because in first grade I won a book walk, kind of like a cakewalk. And so, I landed on the spot that said my that I had won a book. I could pick any book in the library that I wanted. So I picked a book, Children's Letters to God. And my parents were trying to get, smart parents. They're like, why don't you pick the biggest book in the library, the most expensive one? I'm like, no, I really want this very small book that'll fit in the palm of my hand. I still have that book. And so I want to point that out because I think being approaching things from a childlike perspective, I still think is the best way to distinguish yourself and to be a happier, purpose-driven leader, entrepreneur. And I just love these. I picked these letters because I think they're fantastic. Um, and you can just see, you can read them for yourself. But you'll see this will make sense in the presentation of why I picked those letters and why I tell that story. We are still in a purpose-driven economy. These books, the ones that you see here, they're classics. There's even a book now for dogs, The Purpose-Driven Dog. I mean, we all need purpose, right? It's like if without purpose, we really don't we're not going to be as effective in our businesses, but also just in our lives. We're just not going to be. Here's the book, A Dog's Purpose. Have you all read this? It's a number one New York Times bestseller. I thought it was hilarious. I definitely want to read it. So these are the purpose-driven leaders that we may or may not have known about before, but you as yourself have a checklist that we go beyond profit maximization. We focus on creating positive change and making a difference. I love it, right? Why would we be doing anything else? Well, sometimes it's hard to focus on this. So we have to integrate our purpose into strategy, empower our employees, and prioritize ethical and social impact. This is not hard for me. I've done it my entire life. Now, life and business, just in life. I think the key here is going beyond profit maximization. Yes, we need to be profit-driven businesses. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit more about today. These brands, I'm sure You know them. They stand out from the clutter as purpose-driven brands. Warby Parker, Tom's, Patagonia, Trader Joe's. They're they're brands we love, right? I mean, if you're listening to this, watching this, if you're in the audience today, are there any other brands you could probably put in the chat room that come to mind? I'd love to know what they are because I want to follow them. I want to buy from them. That's the big compelling. We want people to buy from us. We want them to buy our products and our services. So we need to stand out from the clutter and we need to promote what our purpose is. So, more examples. This is sort of the how do I put this? The game show portion of our presentation. So, these are a few examples of companies that have higher purpose. So you can, if you're on the webinar and you want to shout this out, if you know the answer or put it in the chat room, to use our imaginations to bring happiness to millions. Does anybody know that? Put it in the chat room if you would while we're talking about this.
Joe
I'm not.
says REI.
Oh, sorry, that was for the one
Oh,
before.
you're going ahead, Joe. You're jumping ahead. Okay, hold on. Don't go ahead yet. So to use our imaginations to bring happiness to millions. Anybody guess that? It's Disney.
Oh, I was gonna guess, but I was
Oh,
afraid I'd be
see,
wrong.
Jerry, you would have gotten. I should have arranged prizes for this. To alleviate pain and suffering. Anybody guess that one? Bayer aspirin. To give people the freedom to fly.
Southwest?
Yes, Southwest Airlines. Very good. To enable people to experience the joy of driving. BMW. A relentless ally for the individual investor. Charles Schwab. Okay, Joe, reconnect people with nature.
I was ahead on that one. I love it.
You must have had a premonition. Reconnect people with nature is REI. Very good. And last but not least, help people get organized so they can be happier.
Container Store?
Yes. Terry, you're just an overachiever, aren't you? That A+ student, head of the class. The people here, I just admire them all so much, and I wanted to point them out. Patagonia founder Yvon Chouinard, he gave away ownership in Patagonia, his whole family. The profits from the company to protect the wild, biodiversity, and fight climate crisis. He just did that he and his family did that um, recently. That was a company Patagonia founded 50 years ago. Sarah Blakely, her why is to elevate women. And at one time, she was the youngest self-made female billionaire. And not only did she found and create Spanx, guys, she also created Manx. So I don't know if you've discovered Manx. Not that any of you all need that, but Sarah has men in mind too. Oprah, her purpose, her why is to be a teacher and to be known for inspiring her students to be more than they thought they could be. Um, the woman above Oprah, that is Christine Tompkins, and she was married to Doug Tompkins, who founded North Face. Christine actually founded Esprit, and there's a movie out called Wildlife that I would encourage all of us to watch. Haven't seen it yet, but just tells their story about how Doug actually passed away in a kayak accident, and I think he was with Yvonne at the time, who founded Patagonia. But what they've done is they bought, Doug and his wife Christine bought up acreage throughout South America through North Face, and they bought up 14 million acres to ensure that they're never exploited, which is really amazing. Apparently, that's more than most countries have set aside. Richard Branson, I thought this was funny. He founded the Virgin Group. To his purpose is to have fun in his journey and learn from his mistakes. And Masala, and I'm gonna mispronounce her name, who you all know is an educator to her purpose in Pakistan. She won the Nobel Pri Prize in her work for education to ensure her purpose is to ensure that girls are educated throughout the world. So these are just inspiring. We can always keep, we don't have a poster of rock stars on our uh, walls anymore. I have posters, you probably do too, of people that motivate you and have a purpose. And then, of course, is Herb Kelleher, who founded Southwest Airlines. These entrepreneurs, I thought I would just point out. Sheryl Sandberg, of course, with Facebook, but Ariana Huffington, and all of a sudden her name just flew out of my brain, who founded
Jessica
the
Alba.
Jessica Alba. Thank you so much. Jessica Alba, who founded the Honest Company. Again, these people came from, building up themselves through purpose-driven brands. So, how do we know what to do? Who do we follow? There's so much out there that they're performers and then they're pretenders. And so how do we know where to go and find the best role models, the best models in terms of business? How do you measure results and who's real and who's not? So these are some of the questions that we ask ourselves probably every single day because we're reading so much and engaging so much on social media for sure, the news, all sorts of webinars that we can take advantage of. Everybody's heard of Milton Friedman? And then there's conscious capitalism. In the 1970s, Milton Friedman came about, and really became the foundation for especially American business, being the sole purpose to generate profit for shareholders. And that's how, that's just went without saying. That's where our quarterly earnings come from. That's where the drive that has driven Wall Street attitude and many people, and it's kind of got a resurgence right now of, it's all about the shareholders and profit. But conscious capitalism, in the book that you saw just prior, is came to be through John Mackey and Raj Sisodia, who believe it was yes, it was 2013 that they wrote their book to articulate what conscious businesses really are, can be more profitable, and in many cases are more profitable because you take into consideration, and I'm sure many of you on this call already know about conscious capitalism and conscious businesses, but just to reiterate, it is a five stakeholder model, and it is really involving um, everyone you work with within a business, whether it's your customer, your shareholders, your leadership management, your community, and of course, your employees. And then this model is to show the purpose, the culture, your stakeholders, and leadership. Everybody contributes and benefits to the makeup of the business and also the profits from the business. So everybody benefits. This is also, I like this model as well. It gives you the questions to ask yourself in terms of really stakeholder business, not just shareholders. So again, kind of looking at this, looks like a flip it, right? That you would be a widget that you'd play with, but it's really the customers. Are you recognized in the community? Are you working alongside with your community partners? How are you attracting and retaining employees? Well, by defining what your purpose is and energizing your investors and your consumers, paying attention to your suppliers, are their priorities in line? So keeping this also next to your computer or in your desk drawer to kind of pull out and say, okay, how am I responding to all of these stakeholders in my business? I
Hey,
wanted to do,
Cary, can you back up
yeah,
to that framework 1 second?
absolutely.
Bobby asked a question. What was the origination source of this? Do you know where that is? Because this is powerful.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that. And it is on my website. A gentleman I work with, I'm really glad you asked this question. Rick, his name is Rick Garlick, and he is a professor at Penn State. He and I have worked together for many years in the hospitality industry, and um, he actually put this model together when we presented a webinar on environmental social governance. And really, when we're looking at ESG, these are ways that we need to approach or have approached ESG in the past. So if you're looking at environmental social governance, this is why this model was put together. But I'm applying it in this case to conscious capitalism. Does that answer your question? Okay. And do go to businesslearninglabs.com, and there's more information about the environmental social governance side of this. Um, that is great. Any other questions? And thank you, Rick Garlick.
Yeah, real quickly, actually, Carrie,
Yeah.
I just want to add that the pronunciation of Malala earlier, just to get that right, to name her in correctly. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
And Malala, and I told Terry I had my notes next to me. I'm going to bring them right over here to pronounce her last name correctly. Um, 1 second. Just want to make sure. I was going to be very fancy and put
And honestly, yeah, I'm also trying to find how to pronounce it because I don't want to take a chance, but
yeah,
yeah, I just
it's
looked at
it's
the
Malala Yousafzai. Yousafzai. So Malala Yousafzai. And she's a human rights advocate for the education of women and children in Pakistan. She's a film and television producer, and she's the youngest Nobel Prize laureate in history. So, anything else you can think of, Bobby? Did you find out anything else about
yeah.
her?
No, I'm just going to put the hyphenation in the chat. Thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Um, Great. And then let's see if there was anything else that I wanted to add to that. Great. Okay. So now we're going to get some work done. Everybody, I don't know if you're a member of REI. Um, Joe, are you a member of REI? Yes, of
I
course you are.
am.
So how long have you been a member?
Probably at least a dozen years or so.
And can you describe what the co-op is like?
Yeah, so everyone, if they can join as a member, I forget what the fee is. It's only like $20. And then basically it gives you basically like ownership of how the company works. And so you can vote on things as well as you get a rebate back every year off of what you've purchased. And so they really want to reinvest in the company and the company's goals through its membership co-op.
Very cool. And so I've always admired the company and I've shopped there. I'm not a member of the co-op. Um, this we did discuss what their um what their purpose is, to get people into nature and to connect to nature. And I love this hashtag. Joe, do you remember this hashtag opt outside?
Yep.
So Do you want to describe it since you experienced it, or do you want me to tell
Go for it.
them? Okay, so in terms of Black Friday, when everybody's online and getting the best deals in the world, they close their stores and they want everybody to go outside. They're like, no, yeah, we can give you deals on other days, but right now we're not participating in Black Friday. We want you to go outside. So it made a big statement, right? They broke through the clutter. So there's a great PR message for you is, don't always have to follow the crowd. How do you break through? So REI, what they did, and this is the exercise that I'd like for us to go through together today. They put together a format for searching for their purpose. I don't know if it originated with them, this exercise, but I've used it over the years for myself as well as um, knowing that it worked for REI. So apparently for 2 days, they got all their stakeholders together. I don't know how many people that was, but let's say it was at least 20 people. And they, for 2 days, asked themselves these questions over and over. Is anybody else familiar with this REI process? Have you read about it? Just curious. So, why does REI exist? They ask themselves that question over and over and over. Why is REI important? They, again, whiteboard, however they did it, but let's just, whether it's sticky notes, getting that information all together so that they could brainstorm, everything's on the table. And then they ask themselves 5 times, what would happen if REI went away? How do I, as an REI stakeholder, devote my creative energies to this organization? And why is this important? And what they came out with was their purpose outcome: to inspire everyone they touch to do the things they aspire to do. And they boiled it down to reconnecting people with nature, to help anybody get outdoors. And so, no matter what they do, they run it through this filter of reconnecting people with nature and help anyone get outdoors. So, with that, I thought, let's do our exercise together. And Terry, we can utilize the chat. We can talk it through, depending on how we want to do this. I'll chime in of the work that I've done. Um, so I think if everybody could just write down first, just off the top of your head, why does my company exist? Again, it's going to take time if you don't have your purpose yet. So don't feel like you have to have the right answer right off the bat. You may already have your in purpose, purpie, if it's multiple, you may have changed. Maybe you're like me. I've had to over the years, depending on the economic, whether whether it was COVID, whether it was the recession, whether it's change in administration, um, I've had to go back and really reevaluate my purpose and do I stick to the same purpose, and what are my values? So why does my company exist, and why is that important? So anybody want to share?
Bobby, you want to go ahead and share yours?
Sure, to connect leaders with their humanity.
Nice. So your company exists to connect leaders with humanity. Why is that important?
Pretty much the point you made, Cary. Business has become so much about just the one P of profit. And when we can broaden the lens and look at all stakeholders and remember that, my favorite story is if I'm on an airplane, it's about to go down, am I going to be talking to you if you're sitting next to me about my money, or accomplishments or, you know, yeah,
That's very, yeah, that's so you're really taking it to the granular level of what do I want to be doing in this moment in this now?
yeah. So that leaders really look at their impact and their choices. Yeah.
I love that. Anybody else?
I'd love to share. I developed Garrow Strategies just this month and launched my website. And my company exists to help conscious brands amplify their voices through somatics. So, what I had realized being in PR and marketing is that strategy doesn't always work if the nervous system is activated, if you're in a fight or flight, or if you're feeling stressed about, income, or if there's just a level of unsafety. And so, what my goal is creating this business is to weave strategic and tactical efforts using, communications, but through the lens of how are we doing this in a very aligned, embodied way. And I feel that that's so important in today's society because we all, have a really important message that needs to be amplified and deserves to be heard. And my hope is that, if my company had gone away, that there would be one less, avenue to help companies really amplify their voices in a strategic and also safe way. So that's
I
something
love that.
to
I
do as well with my elevator pitch and all of that. But thank you for listening.
That's great. And I love it that I don't want to say getting away from the elevator pitch because I've never been that great with an elevator pitch, but I really feel passionate about my purpose. And it's a great way to create your business mission, which you've done, obviously. Lauren and Bobby have both done that. And anybody else before I move on
Adi,
to
you want to give yours?
she might be
Adi,
on.
do you want to give yours? Shannon?
Sorry.
Yeah,
So go, please.
sorry, Carrie. My marketing company is called Bright Solutions. Sorry. And so my goal is to help companies shine through authentic communications. So I'm a big believer that you've got to start there. I love this content. You've got to start with your why. And so many companies are not doing that. To your point, Carrie, driving to the
They're being
um,
challenged. I mean, they're
yep,
really being challenged, and they're not bad people, you know?
right,
It's just a
right.
challenge.
And they can't stand apart from their competition if everybody could say could say exactly what they're saying. And I work a lot with small businesses, and it's really hard to help them understand that because they feel they have to be in the same communication as everybody else, as you guys probably know, right? Rather than being authentically who they are. So that's usually where I start with any of my clients before we get to the marketing. Now, how are we going to drive business? Start with, well, who are you really authentically, because that should drive everything else.
Very nice. Very nice. Anybody else?
Awesome. Adi?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can hear you now.
Okay, sorry, my mic was not working. All right. My core value or my vision for my baby A2LC, which is articulate to lead and connect, is to help people connect with their inner self, to articulate their thoughts and come in integration with their words and actions. I might be a step down for what Bobby is doing. I'm not really working with corporates because I think I'm still there with one-on-one, and I want to help people think about everyday leadership and authentic leadership, which is very important to make this happen. And for that to happen, I think your thought articulation is super important.
Well, and it also, I don't, I definitely know it's not a step down. It's really the way to think about it is what would happen if your company went away? What the people that you're helping and working with, it sounds like there'd be a big void.
Hmm.
for the work that you're doing, and I can tell from the passion in your voice. Do you agree that there would be a big void if you didn't devote your creative energies to this?
I think that is the reason why I have been resilient for the last 14 years.
There you go.
I want to try harder to make sure it is not becoming a void. So
Right,
I hope
right.
I do my best to see if I'm able to contribute enough.
There would definitely be a void. So I'll just, if you'll bear with me, I'll tell you, as I'm kind of always working on this exercise myself, but why does my company exist? And why is it important? Well, I believe in the power of inclusion and diverse thinking. I strongly believe, I know that it works. And if we didn't exist, if my company didn't exist, the voices of the really smart people would not be at the table. And I truly believe that too. It's like it missed opportunities for companies and for society. And then why do I devote my creative energies to this? And what would my purpose outcome be? To promote the voices of those who have the power to change the world for the better, to protect people, planet, and profits. So, you know, I feel really good about that. And I think that is what your point was, Bobby. If I'm on an airplane and I'm talking to somebody about my business, it doesn't feel so much like an elevator speech. It may change and I may tweak it a little bit, but I truly, that's what drives me every day. So, who's using AI these days? Artificial intelligence. Everybody? I mean, I know you are, Joe, because I think you gave me some tips last time we
Yep.
got. So, I just put a few that I've been working in ChatGPT, Gemini, Notebook, LM. The reason I bring this up, because as we do our work, it's really hard to get your purpose out of AI, you know? So I go back to really why I put these letters up before, because the creativity and the authenticity of these letters from these children, you have that, each of us has this deep down. And so as we, let's don't give up on our own creativity that's inside us and our souls and our passion and writing, doesn't even have to be typing on a computer, but just writing letters. I love letters. So, and I love letters. So, we might write a love letter to our company, and these the critical thinking that is required to get to our purpose. Lauren and Bobby and everybody else who shared to where you got to, I don't think you got that from AI. I could be wrong, but you know, that's what's going to change the world. And that is what's going to help you stand out from the clutter. And so when you're looking at these questions, yes, go to AI, do some research there, but start your own critical thinking. Make sure you do that. Do your writing, um, do your talking. If you have a podcast, and Terry, I think you uh know this about me. I'm a process thinker, and sometimes when I'm talking, I'm thinking things through. And it's a tool. AI is a tool, and I guess talking is a tool too, but this is ideally where you are. You've now got your purpose, your core strategy, and we touched on this a bit. The core strategy that must be undertaken to fulfill that purpose, that is your mission. And then the vision, a vivid, imaginative concept or view of the world and what the world will look like once your purpose has been realized. I think that's the key. It's like it's what's going to keep you motivated to stick to your purpose. Just so you know, this was one experiment we did within our company. We came up with a concept, angel gaming for good, because we really wanted to change the way that people were just gambling their money away. And we presented uh, this concept to a major casino. We had the top leaders in the room to go over how they could do a concept called angel gaming for good. So if you lost money or gained money through your betting, money would actually go to help. You could designate where your losses could go, a percentage of your losses could go into what charity. So we still think it's a great idea. I wanted to put that up there, and plus I love the graphic. So we're doing work that matters. Our search for meaning, keep unconditional curiosity and finding meaning in your work. What a joy. What a joy at this point in time to be an entrepreneur, because not everybody has this opportunity. So congratulations. Everybody's heard of Zappos and Tony Say, who founded Zappos, he unfortunately passed away in a I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. But this is still a message I believe in and strongly have kind of cultivated this in my own brand. Your culture is your brand. Never give up. These are people who you know of: Michael Jordan, J.K. Rowling, Albert Einstein, Oprah. They they've all had um, challenges in their lives, and they never gave up. Albert Einstein, his teachers told his mother he would never make it past the fourth grade. Oprah was told she would never get on TV. J.K. Rowling lived out of her car. Michael Jordan was told he would never make the basketball team. You know, just these are crazy stories of people that went on to be, our role models, that they, you know, today have changed the world. So never ever give up and get back in the flow. If you want to give up, choose again, reconnect with your heart and learn how to deal with fear. Direct your attention into the present moment. We talked about that. And then a great quote from John Mackey, who wrote the book with Raj Sisodia, Conscious Capitalism. His quote is a lifelong commitment. He's made a lifelong commitment to follow his heart wherever that leads him. So nothing is ever the same once you discover your true purpose. The best day of your life is the day when you realize that, and it's why you were born, is because you're living your purpose. So I hope everyone on this call and everybody listening to the webinar feels like that these two sentences are part of how you feel as you grow your business and work with Terry and do the things that you were meant to do in growing a very successful business. So with that, I'm going to probably end the webinar, but I'm open for questions. I know I hopefully didn't go over, but we may be running out of time.
Who's got the first question for Cary?
I'll stop sharing too, by the way.